sewing friends, this is Kim from Dorothy's Daughter. Welcome to my channel. Well, today is Friday Sewing School, and as promised, I said I would show you how to put in a neck binding so that you could make my very favorite pattern this year, and that's the Summer Basics Tank by Love Notions. There's a video I did on that a few weeks ago if you want to go back and watch that. What I decided to do, some people asked for a sew along for that. What I decided to do was to go ahead and just show you how to put the neck binding in, because the only difference between that and the t-shirt that we all did together is the neck is a binding rather than a band. So I'm going to cut to that in just a moment and show you how to do that. Today is the day that you will comment on this video, and there will be a giveaway. So far I have 2 prizes for sure, and I'm pretty sure we're going to have a third from another vendor. So there will be 2 at least, maybe 3 chances to win, and you will comment on this video, and I will tell you at the end of this video what question you need to answer in order to be entered into the drawing. So, and then Tuesday, my regular time, my regular video, which incidentally next week, Tuesday, I'm actually wearing them, but you can't see them. I just finished some beautiful Seamwork Tessa jeans, and the fit is great, and I'm going to show you how I achieved that fit. And a few other things about the jeans. So that will be on Tuesday. But for now, the 3 things I wanted to accomplish in today's video: 1 is to show you that neck binding. 2 is to tell you about the giveaway. And last but not least, we are going to be starting 2 weeks from today. We are going to be starting a sew along on a skirt. I want you to do a zipper. So I wanted to progress in our sewing skills and do a zipper. So I'm giving you 2 weeks to go ahead and obtain that pattern. I've been looking for simplicity patterns on sale. It's about time that will creep up on Joann's, because their last one only had McCall's and Vogue. So it's possible they might go on sale this time, is the way it goes usually. It's one then the other. It's also hasn't been on sale at Hobby Lobby for a little while. So watch for sales. But it is $87.95, and it's the reason I chose this one is, 1, it's faced rather than a waistband, because a waistband is another skill that we will tackle down the road, but we've already done facing, so this time it's all about putting in a zipper. This happens to be an invisible zipper, which I think are easier than other zippers. Some people might argue with me, but I think they're incredibly easy. So I'm going to teach you all about that. So you're going to need your pattern. You're going to need your fabric from the back of the pattern envelope. It will tell you for your size how much. This pattern goes from sizes 6 to 24. So you're going to want to go ahead and choose the fabric that you would like to use. I'm going to go ahead and tell you that on the envelope it will tell you the suggested types of fabric. It is for woven, so I would stick to something fairly easy to work with. You could use a twill, or I'm going to use a cotton twill that I have in my stash. What else do I want to tell you about that pattern? It's going to be fun. It's a kind of a pencil skirt, so it should be good for all body types. Pencil skirts, we shy away from them sometimes when I'm a curvy girl, so I can say this. We shy away from them thinking that they're going to make us look larger, but actually when they fit, they make us look slimmer. So we're going to learn how to do it and make it fit, so that won't be an issue, we hope, because it will be fitted right to your body type. So go ahead and get that pattern and start gathering your supplies. Next week, I want to do a check through of our skills list and kind of just go through it with you and show you which skills we've mastered so far, which is really an incredible amount in a short time. That way will kind of be just a checkpoint to kind of see how your skills are progressing. And if there's anything that you don't feel confident in, that you need to go back and watch that video on again, or if you have questions, like I said before, I don't want any questions to go unanswered. So please go ahead and ask the questions if they come up, because I will answer them. I will answer them in words as much as I can, but I'm also going to answer them on camera, so that and demonstrate when I need to. So please go ahead and put your questions in the comments. The other thing is the giveaway. So we are at over 1,000, almost 1,100 subscribers at this point. And I am beyond thrilled. I never dreamed that my little channel would take off the way it has. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart. And to celebrate that, I reached out to some vendors and said I'd like to do a celebratory giveaway. So 2 vendors responded right away, and that was Itch to Stitch Patterns, and they donated a pattern of your choice. Candace is a wonderful lady. She's got beautiful patterns, and her patterns have cup sizes, which not all of them do, and it's very, very much appreciated. And the other company that reached back to me right away is Minerva. They used to be Minerva Crafts. Now they're just Minerva. They just changed their name recently. They have donated a box of haberdashery, which, if you aren't familiar with the lingo in the UK, that is like notions. It's going to be worth $50 or 50 pounds, which is this rate right now. It's about $60. So Minerva is great. They have very reasonable shipping even to the US. So don't just discard them because they're in the UK, because they're a wonderful company, and I have gotten some beautiful, beautiful fabric from them, including the jeans I am wearing, which are going to be on the Minerva Makers blog. So with that, I'm going to cut to the video where I'm showing you how to install the neckband in my maxi dress that I actually made for my mother-in-law's 90th birthday party tomorrow. So I'm very excited to go to that, and I'll be sure and take some pics of it, of me in the dress, so that you can see that, and I'll pop them up sometime when I do my makes video for August. And with that, we'll cut right to that. When we come back, I will give you the question that we need. Everyone needs to answer to be entered in the giveaway. It's not enough just to comment. You have to answer the question as well. All right, if you are not subscribed to this channel, please go ahead and click the button down below. And if you want to be notified when I post a new video, which is usually, not always, but usually Tuesdays and Fridays. Fridays are sewing school. Tuesdays are sort of show and tell. Go ahead and click the little bell, and you'll be notified every time I upload a new video. So I'm going to cut right to the video where I show you how to insert a neck binding, and then on the Summer Basics tank dress, it's the binding and the arm size are done the same way, but I'm showing you the neckline, and then you can translate that into your arm size. So have a wonderful, wonderful day, and I'll be back in just a moment. Okay, so we're going to put in the neck binding of this. This is the Summer Basics tank, another Summer Basics tank dress, which, as you all know, is my favorite pattern this summer. We're going to go ahead and put in the neck binding, and now since a lot of you were wanting like a sew along of this dress, but it's basically the same as a t-shirt, except that the neck binding is a binding rather than the bands. So if you have not watched the sewing the t-shirt video, which I will link above, if you have not watched that yet, you're going to want to watch that first before watching this, because I'm assuming you know that process already as I'm going. So basically, I have sewn my neckband together, my neck binding together, and I have pressed open the seam. Okay. Now, when you were doing bands, you would have folded this over and then sewn that on. You're going to leave it unfolded at this point, okay? So then what you're going to do is you're going to quarter this. So you're going to take the back seam here of the binding, and you're going to find the opposite end and put a pin there to mark it. You could also use a marking tool. I just usually use pins. And then you want to bring that pin and the back seam together to find the exact quarter points of the sides. So on this pattern, both the neckband and the arm bands are, arm size are bindings. So this, if you know this process on the neckband, it'll be the same for the arms, except maybe a little easier. I'm doing the most difficult one on camera here. So now what you should have is a circle that is divided into quarters. Okay? So then you're going to do the same thing with the neckline itself. So I'm going to find the center front or center back first. Now on the center basics, it's easy to know the front from the back because the back actually has a seam. So this is my back here. I don't know if you can see, but there's a seam there. So this is the back. So you find the center back of the neckline and put a pin there. And then you're going to find the center front. Hope this is getting all on camera here. So this is one of the more difficult things to film. Okay, center front. Put a pin there. And then you're going to bring those two pins together. And it will show you what your side points are. And they're basically, since this dipped low in the back, they're basically right at the shoulder seam, but yeah, they're just at the shoulder seams. However, that's not true of all necklines, so I did want to show you that you would want to do that. Because the back sometimes is up higher than the front, but we'll just go with the shoulder seams for this one. So then you're going to take your binding and with right sides together, go to the center back. With right sides together, you're going to go ahead. This is the back. There's the seam. Okay. You're going to go ahead and you're going to pin that there. And the only reason you do the quartering is to evenly distribute the gathering, because this is slightly gathered just so that it doesn't sort of stick up. This is sometimes a little easier if you turn the dress inside out too. I'm kind of making things difficult on myself here. There we go. So I've pinned there at center back. And then the next point, I'm going to go ahead and pin at this shoulder seam. Usually when I'm doing this too, if I've got loose threads or anything, I'll kind of clip them out of the way. So I'm gonna go grab my snippers and get rid of that. You should see my floor when I'm done sewing. I have all kinds of stuff everywhere. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and pin that at the shoulder seam. Okay, then I'm gonna match up the center front to the center front here. I need one pin there, so I'll take one out. And then the last would be the other shoulder seam. So at this point, what you have, I'm so sorry, I think I was doing that off camera a little bit. It's really hard to keep this on camera. What you have then is you have the binding pinned to the dress, and both things are divided into quarters, the neckline and the binding. Okay, and that's the same process as you did with the bands, except that it's not folded at this point. Now I'm going to go over to my sewing machine and I'm going to sew this just the same way that we did with the bands, by slightly stretching between points. So I'm going to go ahead and sew this with a narrow zigzag or a stretch stitch, and stretching that binding to meet the dress. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I'll meet you back here in just a moment. So then you're going to just press this with the seam allowance up toward the binding. Okay, I'm going to speed this up here for the next little bit. Okay, so now that that's pressed up, the seam allowance is pressed up toward the binding, what you're going to do is you're going to use the edge of that seam allowance as a guide, and you're just going to fold that binding over and pin it into place. So I'm just going to fold it over and pin it into place. And if you lose your neck band or neck binding piece, you can always figure it's about 75 to 80% of the circumference of your whatever hole you're going to put it on. So if it's a whether it's an arm or a neckline or whatever it is, that's what you can figure for that. That's from Stretch and Sew classes many years ago. I refer to those a lot. It's because I learned so much from those classes my mother and I took together when I was a teenager back in the 70s. So I'm going to just hit this with an iron just to kind of press that down. And just as an aid to it staying nice and flat. you guys watching me do this can sometimes be like watching paint dry. I don't want to bore you, but I do have to show you everything. So, okay, so then I'm going to take this over to my sewing machine, and there's a couple different ways you can do this. So you can, the way that we learned in Stretch and Sew was to stitch in the ditch, and then you don't have any kind of stitching line. A lot of ready to wear, and I kind of like the look of just a very close top stitching on the binding right here, which is what I'm going to do. But you want to make sure you have a thread that looks nice with it, and all that. See that? Needs to come out just a little bit. So you have to be so careful when you're pinning this that you maintain that even binding look all the way around. Okay, so now I'm going to take this over to the machine. I'm going to take you with me and sew this binding down into place. This is a time when you might want to go ahead and use the free arm of your machine if you have one. It does kind of help aid in being able to put some of it underneath. I'm going to find the back here. Here it is. I always start at the center back because I figure if I'm going to mess up any stitches, I would rather it be back there. Again, I'm set on the basically zigzag, the narrowest zigzag, and still have it be a zigzag stitch. And I'm going very, very close to the edge. I hope you can see that. My foot has a little red arrow there, and I just try to keep that seam line, or the seam line of the binding where the binding meets the dress. I like to keep that like aligned with the left point of that arrow, the triangle. And you want to just go ahead and go nice and slow, pulling your pins out as you go. Don't sew over pins. If you ever have to sew over a pin, the best thing to do is to hand crank it, because then if you meet resistance, you can stop right away and you're not going to mess anything up on your machine. But you should never ever sew over a pin going, at the clip that we usually sew. I'm just going to go ahead and sometimes I'll put my thumb in and just adjust and make sure that binding stays nice and even all the way around. And if you've pressed it well, you shouldn't have any puckering or anything like that to deal with. Now, whatever, foot you have, or there's something, I'm sure, on your foot or something that you can use. That's what I do when I'm sewing anytime. If I just find something to use as a guide and know that that's where the fabric has to be, or the seam, or whatever I'm lining up. In this case, I use that little red triangle, but different feet are marked in different ways, so you can choose something, but just make it consistent so that it's nice and neat. And sometimes I'll stop and just make sure that that's even. If your machine has a speed dial, might be good to set it on a little bit slower speed than you normally do for this, so that you can make sure that that stays nice and straight. have mine on about a medium speed, but I'm pretty experienced at doing this. But when you start out, you're probably going to want to go on a slower speed. Also, I didn't want you guys to get too bored watching me do this. So tomorrow is my mother-in-law's 90th birthday. So I thought I'd finish this dress and wear it to her party. Can you believe 90 years young? That woman's got some stories to tell. She's a gem. I love her dearly. I'm Dorothy's daughter, but I'm Betty's daughter-in-law, and I can't talk today. I love her. I've known her practically all my life. Well, I married the paper boy, if you haven't heard that story before. My husband was my paper boy growing up. We went to kindergarten together. I actually have home movies of us together in kindergarten. I have these great pictures and movies of myself because my dad was a photographer. So we have lots of documentation of my childhood, which is great. I chose the length of my narrow zigzag to be about 2.5 too. Just because any kind of top stitching should be just a little bit longer than normal. If it were straight stitch, I'd set it on 3, but with zigzag, I set it in about 2.5. So I've known my mother-in-law my whole life because they were in our neighborhood. And we didn't really, we knew each other, but we didn't hang out together until we were in high school. And found out that he was a guitar player and I'm a singer, and so we started playing music together and started talking and started dating. And so we started dating the summer between our junior and senior year in high school, and we married when I was done with my nursing school and he was still in college. 3 years later. Okay, we have our neck bindings sewn on. Now that you've heard my life story, we have our neck bindings sewn on. I'll show you here. You can see it's nice and neat. Used a top stitching thread, so it's kind of decorative. Hopefully you can see that. And then I'm going to go over to, I don't think I need to film this, I'm just going to do a little bit of it here. So you're just going to go and you're going to go ahead and trim. Being very careful not to cut your dress, because I have done that before. You're just going to trim that excess away. Okay, I'm not going to do much more at this angle because I don't want to mess up this dress, but you're just going to trim that away. Okay, and you're done. There's your neckline. And that's basically the only difference between sewing the summer basic tank dress, other than the fact that there's a seam on the waist and the back, but they're just straightforward seams. And that's the only difference between that and a t-shirt. So if you've made your t-shirt, you should be able to handle this pattern Easy peasy. Okay, so I hope that cleared that up. And please feel free to leave your questions in the comments on that. If you have made your t-shirt, your cadence dress, or anything else that we've talked about, please tag me on Instagram, or there's a hashtag Friday Sewing School you can use, and I also follow the hashtag Dorothy's Daughter. If you go ahead and tag your makes with that, and then I can see what my subscribers are making. It's fun. Sewing can be a lonely hobby, and that's why one of the reasons I wanted to do this channel, because I love sewing friends. So go ahead and please show me your makes, because we all learn. I have much to learn. I'm sure many of you could teach me a lot of things. So please tag your makes Dorothy's Daughter or Friday Sewing School, and I would love to see them, and I think we would love to see each other's. On that note, as far as community goes, recently when you get to 1,000 subscribers, YouTube gives you a community tab. And what that is kind of a message board, you know, for your channel. So I'm going to go ahead and post some things on there. Please use that. Ask me questions there. That's what it's for. Share your makes there. Anything that you would like, please feel free to use that to communicate. Because I hope that we are at this point a community. Because that's what is really in my heart, to have a community of people who love to sew, who want to learn more. I know I learn things every time I watch another video. I learn something new. So you know, there's so many YouTubers out there, and there's so many great channels, and some people who can sew circles around me. So I learn much every time I watch. So please use the community tab. Let's learn from each other. And with that, I'll tell you about the giveaway. Okay, so to enter the giveaway, I would like you to go ahead and answer this question. So far, Dorothy's Daughter is about 4 months old. So far, what has been your favorite video? And second part of that question is, what video would you like to see? And answer those 2 questions in the comments today, and do that before Monday evening at 11:59. So Monday, let's see, what would Monday be? Monday, August 19th, 11:59 Eastern Standard Time, the entries will be closed. And on Tuesday, I will draw the winners online. I'm going to use a random generator from Google. What I'm going to do is I'm going to number the entries in order of the comments, and then I'm going to use a random generator to generate the number of the winners. So there'll be 2 winners at least, possibly 3. Like I said, I have another exciting prize that I'm working on that isn't finalized yet. So at least 2 winners, possibly 3. This is open worldwide. So comment away, and I wish you all luck. I tell you, the prizes are great, and I wish, especially that box from Minerva, I wish I could win it. I'm not eligible, obviously, but I sure wish I could win that box. So enter the giveaway, and before Monday, August 19th, 2019, at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. That's when the entries will close. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy your weekend. Happy sewing.